Hello everybody, welcome back to An Actor Shares. I'm Jorge Chapa, I'm your host of this channel. And I know it's been a while since I've posted a video on this channel. It's been probably about 3 months and I've just been trying to figure out where I want to go with this channel, what direction I want to go. But I figured that this is a channel where I can just vent, where I can just share my thoughts, which is why I call it An Actor Shares. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the people in our lives that have touched us, the people that have brought inspiration, the people that have brought us hope. And I'm going to talk about a man named Eric Faber. Eric Faber and I met almost 5 years ago. I was in grad school, it was 2014, and I was getting ready to graduate, so I was trying to see what was going to happen. Like when you're in grad school, everything's so cool because, you're going to acting classes from 8:30 in the morning till 9 at night. You have rehearsals for this scene study class or this class, or maybe you're doing a play at the time. And then reality starts setting in your last year of grad school, and you're wondering, like, how am I going to get work after this? Like, how am I going to get a manager or agent? And am I even going to get auditions? Like, is this professional actor thing going to actually work out? This is for real. This isn't like for funsies anymore. And so, I started doing my research. Luckily, we had a guy working at the school who would, try to guide us with our headshots and our resumes, make sure everything's formatted correctly, and that, give us a list, to invite people to showcases, and, hopefully some manager and agent will see you in these showcases, and then boom, you sign, and then maybe you'll go out for some auditions. Well, with all that said, I had my showcase, and it was like, I can't remember, I think our showcase was like on a Monday or something like that. And a few days later, I think I've told this story before in another video, but I'm just trying to think about the time process. But just a few days later, we get these little envelopes from, the professional development guy. And in there, it'll have like a list, like such and such agent or manager would like to meet with you. Or such and such an agent or manager may not want to meet with you right now, but they want to have your headshot and resume on file. Well, everyone was getting theirs, and of course they say, oh, don't share it with anybody, don't share your results, because, it creates a competition sort of atmosphere, and I get it, but of course everyone shared. And I remember seeing my classmates say, oh yeah, this agent wants to meet with me. Oh, this agent wants to meet with me. I even remember one of my good pals at the showcase got in touch, like an agent got in touch with him and wanted to set up an audition for a Book of Mormon, like that day, or like they set up an audition for him. I was like, whoa. So like results are not typical for everybody. Like everybody changes. And I just remember everyone was getting this agent meeting, this manager meeting or whatever. And I got nothing. Nothing came out of those. And so I was kind of down, but I'm pretty reluctant, and I started reaching out to people on my own, and I came across, a manager who happened to be at the showcase but didn't reach out to me, and I just said, hey, listen, thank you for showing up. I just wanted to reintroduce myself, and I just want to introduce myself actually, and my name is Jorge Chapa. I'm going to graduate. I'd love to set up a meeting, the same formal letter that you send out, the query letters to, all the reps. And I didn't think much of it, and sure enough, this guy, Eric Faber, a talent manager, said, hey, I want to meet up with you, And so we met up, and we met up at our first meeting was like maybe a week after I graduated from grad school, so it's already summertime. And we met up at a restaurant called Bubby's Highline, and it's right there across the street from the Highline in the West Village. And it's, Southern Comfort sort of place. They had chicken and waffles sort of thing. And we met up, and, this was my first meeting. I didn't know what to wear, so I wore this black polo that I always wore because I thought it was like my nice shirt. And I just remember that we met up, and, he came in. So the little guy, glasses, and we sit, and he starts asking me about myself, where I'm from, and then he has this kind of bravado about him, like this little man with, big attitude. And he's like, I have clients, that are respected in this casting office and this and this. So I'm like, whoa, you know, like, is he for real? And I'm like, I'm from a skeptical society in South Texas. Like, in the Rio Grande Valley in South Texas, we're all haters. So we think everyone's full of shit. So, you know, we're like, yeah, I was thinking like, okay, guy, okay. But, you know, no one else gave me a chance. So he said, listen, Jorge, you know, I want to see how we work together. And so what I think we can do is we'll freelance for a month. So he's like, I can get you into this room and this room. And like, I would be surprised if I got into any room. You know what I mean? I have a hard time believing people, but that's just me. Like I said, I'm a skeptic. And so we decided at the end of that meeting that we're gonna freelance for a month. Sure enough, this guy, he comes through like the following week. It's a Tuesday. I have 2 auditions, my very first 2 TV auditions. Well, actually, one's a movie and one's a TV show. I remember the first was a movie called Staten Island Summer, and that was written by like Colin Jost and had a whole bunch of people from SNL. And I remember Meredith Tucker was the casting director, and I ended up working with her later on, but that's just another video. The second audition was actually in the same building, but just a couple floors up, and that was for a show called Royal Pains. I think that was on USA. I kind of vaguely remember it, but you know, I went in first 2 auditions, and it's like I was new to this whole camera, you know, auditioning thing, because they don't really prepare you for this in grad school. And this is the story is being repeated because I talked about it in my first, you know, my first gig video. But you know, like I said in the other video, 2 days later, I have an audition for an Untitled cell phone commercial, which I went in for. I ended up booking, and that is where me and Eric decided we're gonna sign. After 2 weeks of working together, freelance, we decided to sign. This guy, Eric Faber, held his end of the bargain when he talked about getting me into different casting offices and, you know, having respect in the casting rooms. He put me in the rooms, and I did the work that I could do. And we ended up doing very, very well together. I got my first TV gigs. You know, I remember I went in for Louis. That was my very first TV gig. I also got my Must Join through Mr. Robot, which they edited out. And I even remember that this guy, like, you know, he was known, I was always told beforehand, like, he has a bit of an attitude. He's a little rough. He has a bad tableside manner. But I realized that, you know, he was working hard for his clients because he wanted to maintain a good reputation as a working manager and actor. And I remember running into another one of his clients at an audition, because you could see in the, you know, sign-in sheet, you know, you put your name, your reps, and I saw, oh, yo, there's another guy at Faber Talent. And so we were talking, and I was like, hey, you know, like, how's it, you know, working, you know, with Eric? And he's like, he's a little tough. You know, he can be a little mean sometimes. But this other guy told me this story about how he was venting to a casting director that he was very close to, and she's like, he's an asshole, right? And he's like, well, yeah, he can be. It's like, just remember, he's an asshole, but he's your asshole. He's there to fight for you, and that's his job, is to make sure that you get the best outcome out of your contracts, out of your auditions, out of your jobs. And this proved true time and time again, where, you know, we had a situation with a movie that I did, and the production team realized that they made a mistake with their contract, and they wanted to gyp me like three or four, you know, grand out of my total earnings, because they signed me as a daily instead of a weekly. And Eric just went to battle for me, and we ended up winning, and I ended up making what I was supposed to make, what we originally made, and he was there watching out for me. And he did this with every single one of his clients. And this guy truly helped me develop relationships with casting directors, where, you know, in the last few months, a lot of my auditions were, you know, casting directors asking, you know, to see me, which is a very, very cool thing, because we had to do this as a team. he got me in the room and I did this, and then we had that good rapport with the casting directors. And sometimes it was difficult because there's certain circumstances where casting directors and reps, they kind of butt heads over things. But he was always there, and he always had the client's best interest a lot of time. And I appreciate that. And I know that in the last few months, I felt that I needed to grow. And so we parted ways, but we remained friends. We remained close. We even got each other Christmas presents. And it's people like this in this business, that you have to be appreciative for. And you have to be thankful and grateful for, because without Eric Faber, I wouldn't have had my first professional gig. I wouldn't have had, the TV show gigs that I would have had. He got me into the rooms. With him, I've worked so much, and I've been able to establish myself as an actor in New York City, in this industry, in an industry that's very hard to break into. And I owe him the world, so much gratitude for the work that he put in and the work that we did together. And I'm saying this with a heavy heart because just this Friday, and over the weekend actually, I found out that he had passed away from pancreatic cancer. And this was very, very hard to hear. Because yes, he could be difficult to work with sometimes, and he could be a little stubborn in his ways, but we were very close. My wife and I had several dinners with him. He had come over to our house for barbecues. We had a great relationship. I always looked forward to the calls that said, "Hey, Jorge, I got a booking for you. Hey, Jorge, I got an offer coming up for you." And now it's just like I won't be hearing those anymore. And that makes me sad, but I'm grateful for the work that he did for me and for his other clients, because he worked hard for his other clients and he was very proud of the work that he did. Eric, we love you, and we're thankful and grateful for everything that you've done for us. We hope to keep honoring you and doing great work, and thank you for everything that you've shown me in this industry. I remember going into this business just very, very green, wet behind the ears, whatever you want to call it. I was a newbie. I didn't know anything. And you helped mold me and guide me and show me, how to be a professional in this industry. And I am forever grateful. I'm going to miss you, buddy. Rosa and I, we love you. And sorry to hear about your passing. Now, for everyone else watching, there are people that come into our lives that, we don't realize how much of an impact that they're gonna have at the time. And I've said this before on other videos, but really, be appreciative of everybody that you have in your life. Because from one moment to the next, they might not be here. So live every day to its fullest. Love everyone to your fullest. And if you've had some differences, or you've been distant and you're just thinking about this person or that person, send them a text, an email, a simple phone call, anything, just to let them know that you're thinking about them. Because you don't know when it will be, the last time you speak to them. I guess that's the end of this video. But I'm looking forward to carrying on the tradition and moving forward in this career, a career that, Eric helped me get established in. Thank you, Eric. We love you.